Fashion, clothing, dress. Whatever you decide to call the garments you place on your body in the morning dictates the way that you're looked at for the rest of the day. When we were younger, it wasn't always a decision to decide the way that we were dressed. Our parents were the ones that dressed us. We were told that girls dress like girls and guys dress like guys. Now, there are many choices to choose from, but it wasn't always our choice. Since our parents told us what to wear, bought the clothes that we had to wear, and picked them out for the day, they helped shape our identity. And that helped create associations with who we want to be and who we have become. Now, men in fashion have become very, very prevalent. As you can see here, there's few men are in the collage, but it's still dominated by women. Fashion designers are men, models are now men, and now producers produce clothing that targets specifically towards men. Based with this being said, advertisements dictate fashion based on who they target, but it does not have to. Advertisements dictates fashion strongly based on culture. And when I say culture, I'm specifically talking about the black and the white men and their culture. And this relates to demographics. For those who do not know what demographics are, there is the statistical data of a population, especially showing the average of age, race, income, or education. Here in State College, which holds the university called Penn State, is where I attend. It's majority white people, then there's some Asians, some blacks, and even some Hispanics. So there's no surprise that the stores here are made up of mostly suburban and white people. Based on research by Vengali, they did research on fashion marketing and why producers produce the product that they produce and why consumers consume the products that they consume. A few of these reasons for the producers were the price, the season, the consumer's need, and the consumer's preferences. For the consumer, the reasons that they consume was also what they need, the style, and also the price. With this being said, producers, it's up to them to decide what they want to put out and whom they want to target it to, and it's up for the consumers to decide what sells and what the producer looks to produce next. There are several recognizable brands in America now, from Levi to Polo by Ralph Lauren, Adidas, Nikes, a slew that you see on this board. And a good thing that these brands have done in their time is that they've crossed barriers. And the way that they cross barriers is that they made products for all people, all different styles, all different shapes, all different sizes, and they have become very, very profitable in what they do. Modern brands such as H&M and Forever 21 are really, really popular amongst the young people and stretches across all barriers. But they have done it on a lower scale. Both of these have figured out what to produce and how to produce it for and the population that they want to produce it to, which is pretty ubiquitous. But the problem is that most brands have created associations. So like, for example, when you first start a company, you have to figure out who do you want to sell your product to. And this creates the divide. For example, in the 1990s, when hip-hop music was becoming very, very popular, there was a group of black fashion designers that decided to make fashion just for the black market that heavily related to the hip-hop culture, and the hip-hop culture adopted it as many artists wore them. For example, FUBU, which was an acronym, FUBU, stood for Us, By Us, which was made by a black designer, and it was for the black people, made by a black person, or black people, however you want to say it. And this created associations as the white people didn't necessarily feel comfortable wearing it, or maybe weren't even aware of what the clothing style was. Tommy Hilfiger, on the other hand, was very, very popular with the white people. And while black people were aware of this, they pick and chose when to wear this. Now, we see divides like this happen all the time. For example, Facebook and Twitter has an age divide, going back to demographics, has an age divide. They say that Facebook is more geared towards the older generation. By older generation, I mean those in grad school. No offense to your age or anything. And Twitter is more for those in undergrad or younger. There's been a strong divide between these two groups and how they function and the knowledge of what Twitter can do or what Facebook does and things like that. Another divide that happens is often seen in preschool or elementary school, middle school, and even high school, which is teasing. Where I come from, there's shoes called Skechers, which I'm sure that you guys know is really, really popular. But Skechers is frowned upon basically in the black community because it's not cool enough, or maybe it doesn't cost enough money or things like that. So basically, if you came to school and you said, I'm going to get some new sneakers, people were like, it better not be Skechers because then you're going to get teased. And nobody wants to be teased. So it created a divide there as people did not want to buy Skechers. But when I was around the white preppy people during my youth, I saw that they would wear Skechers, they would wear any kind of sneakers, and they wouldn't care. If you had a nice pair of sneakers on, they would be like, oh, those are cool. But it didn't matter to them per se what sneakers they wore, but some of them were more wrapped up in like the shirts that they wore. Like it had to be certain name brands and things like that. And the problem with name brands is that it creates, it creates associations and with socioeconomic status, and people are judged. And like I said, people are judged based on what they wear. So if people see that you have certain logos and brands on your shirt, then people look at you differently for more respect or less respect. Once again, these associations are not always our fault. You see, they come from our parents, they come from our peers, but it is mainly the fault of the companies. And for a strong example now is that with the fraternity and sorority families, Greek life, with the fraternity and sorority Greek life, it has created associations as they have certain dress codes or they all conform to one another's style. A style that has become very, very popular with the male fraternities is that plaid and flannel shirts. I'm sure some of you Penn State students have seen the plaid and flannel shirts across campus when you go out on a Friday night with the either the Sperry's on their feet or the dirty Timbs and khakis and things like that nature. And when I went to American Eagle's website to search for plaid and flannel shirts, American Eagle, by the way, is a very popular brand amongst suburban community. It has crossed over into the urban community, but it's not as prevalent. But to further my point is that the first 2 rows, 12 models on this website for plaid and flannel shirts are all white males. That shows you who they are trying to market their clothing towards. When I searched Hollister on Google, the first 3 rows of their advertisements were all white males and females. So that also tells you who they're trying to market their clothing towards. Now, I'm not trying to make this all about the white people are wrong or this or that, because black people are guilty for it too, because they want to capitalize on who they can get the most money out of when they sell their product. Here you see black artists or people in general wearing certain clothing. Brands like Tisa, Pink Dolphin, Fubu, things like that have become very, very prevalent within the African American community, as I'm wearing Pink Dolphin now. This is just my preference because this is what I grew up around, certain styles, and these are the people that I look up to, and this is what I see them wear. Finding my own style, I looked for what made me feel comfortable, and this is what I decided to wear. Now, it's not always right that I should decide to wear this or I should decide to wear that, but that's just how it goes. Well, that's just how it has gone, I'm sorry. To share a quick story with you guys, when I was younger, I wanted Hollister for the longest. Like when I was in middle school, it became very, very popular. And I was like, I need me some Hollister. I asked my mom, and she was like, she didn't really think it was cool. She didn't really like it. And I was still like 12, so she was like, what do I know about clothes? I didn't really know much about clothes now that I think about it. And so what had happened was I went to Maryland to visit my uncle and his sons, which are my cousins. We're all close. And my uncle loves to spend money, especially on the kids. So we went to the mall one day, and I seen the Hollister store, and my face lit up. I was like, I'm about to get some Hollister. And so I went in the store and I looked around, and my uncle was like, "Do you want some of this? You like this stuff?" Because my cousin didn't wear it. He didn't think it was cool. So I said, yeah. Like, can I have some? Can I have some? And basically, he broke down and he got it for me. And I got about 4 shirts. And I was like, I'm going to save this till I get home. And I got home and I showed my mom. And I was like, Mom, I got Hollister. Da, 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 da. And she was like, okay, like, your uncle shouldn't have got you that. So the first dress down day, by the way, is when you're in schools in Philadelphia, which is where I'm from. Most schools have uniform to like avoid things like teasing, because kids would be teased based on what they would wear and things like that. So we would have a dress down day where you could dress casual and wear basically any type of clothes that you wear as long as it was appropriate. So I decided to wear Hollister. And when I wore my Hollister shirt, I felt good. I was like, yeah, I got my Hollister. People were wearing Hollister at the time, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna be cool now. By the end of the day, I was done with Hollister. I didn't like it. I was like, this is kind of corny. Everybody's wearing it, and I started realizing like basically everything that my parents were telling me, like, it's not really for us. It's just not that cool. And I was like, I understand now. You always understand what your parents tell you after you go through the experience, life lesson. But I wore another Hollister shirt because I didn't want to waste them the next dress down day. And after that, I was just done with it. And you realize certain things, and that goes back to the associations. You realize sometimes you're just more comfortable in what you grew up around and what was targeted towards you. Sometimes these targets often can cause blurred lines or confusion, as you can see here. Sorry. In this recent in these photos, you see actor Will Ferrell wearing truck fit sweater. He has his pants at camo pants and bright colored shoes. This is a popular characteristic in the African American community. This was on the set of the movie Get Hard, featuring black comedian Kevin Hart, in which the two come together. Will Ferrell plays a white male who's going to jail, and he wants to get hard or tough and become more urban so he can fit in and not be taken advantage of in the jail society. So he dresses and tries to adapt to the culture, and that shows how important clothing is in the associations and the presence that it has on how people look at you. So he tries to manipulate his appearance by dressing more to what the African American community would wear. Also in this picture, it says the "I'm black but only date white girls" starter pack. And here you see a man wearing the plaid polo shirt, bright colored chinos, and Sperry's with a nice watch. These are characteristics that you see mostly in the white community, and that creates the associations that, okay, he's doing this, but it's kind of being made fun of and frowned upon, like, oh, black people can't really wear that, or white people can't really wear that, and that's the problem right there. I feel as though people shouldn't be judged based on what they wear or how they want to wear it. If people want to mix and match the barriers, then they should be able to do that, because no one should be able to dictate to tell you how you should and should not dress. But we as a society have such a bad mentality of what races are supposed to wear that we are guilty of enforcing these stereotypes furthermore. So if you want to like change the way you dress and maybe mix and match the cultures, maybe you shouldn't just jump the barrier so quickly like Will Ferrell in the Twitter picture here, because you can probably face some backlash, and everybody doesn't want to do that. But you can make subtle changes and mix and match the cultures of things that you like and things that you want to try. But as you can see here, here's a picture of me on your left, and a picture of rapper Tyga wearing the plaid and flannel shirts, which have become very, very popular in both communities now, because the youth is learning to mix and match the cultures, like through companies like H&M and Forever 21 that does a good job of finding clothes that everyone can find acceptable. But at the same time, we mixed it with our own style and our own flair. By I'm wearing a backwards snapback, he's wearing a snapback of his own, bright colored sneakers, things like that, to mix and match the styles and make it creative and make it unique, and that helps break down the barriers. So, like I said in the beginning, the advertisements do dictate fashion, but it does not have to. We can break